Life has a funny way of slipping through your fingers when you don't even realize it. Every day you wake up, scroll through your phone, complain about the things you don't have, think about the things you wish were different, and before you know it, another day is gone. You think you're just passing time, but in reality, time is passing you. You tell yourself you'll get serious tomorrow, you'll start chasing your dreams next week, you'll fix your habits next year. But the truth is, those tomorrows never come. Those next weeks keep moving further away, and the years pile up before you even notice. The real reason you're wasting your life isn't because you don't have opportunities, it isn't because you don't have talent, and it surely isn't because the world is against you. It's because you've convinced yourself you have more time than you actually do. See, life doesn't wait on anyone. It doesn't pause for you to figure it out. While you sit there doubting yourself, questioning your worth, scrolling, talking, gossiping, blaming, making excuses, life is moving forward. And one day, you'll wake up and realize that you spent more time thinking about what you wanted to do than actually doing it. That's the tragedy. Not that you failed, but that you never even gave yourself a real chance to succeed. You've got to understand something. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. The more you let comfort seduce you, the more it robs you of your fire. Every time you hit snooze, every time you put off that decision, every time you let fear or doubt make your choice for you, you are slowly wasting the one thing you can never get back, your time. You can get money back, you can get opportunities back, you can even get relationships back. But time, once it's gone forever. That's what makes it so valuable, and that's why wasting it is the most dangerous thing you can do. The truth is, most people aren't living, they're existing. They're surviving on autopilot, doing the same thing day after day, hoping that something magical will change their circumstances without them ever having to change themselves. But nothing changes if you don't. Nothing shifts if you don't shift. You've got to decide that your life is worth more than excuses, worth more than distractions, worth more than laziness. Deep down, you already know the dreams you carry, the vision you see when nobody else is around, the greatness that whispers to you in the quiet moments. But if you keep silencing that voice, if you keep ignoring that fire, one day it'll go out. And then all you'll be left with is regret that you had the chance, regret that you had the time, regret that you had the ability, but you let it all slip away because you thought you could wait forever. That is the real reason you're wasting your life. Time is slipping away faster than you realize, and most people never come to terms with that until it's too late. Every morning the alarm goes off, and you convince yourself you've got plenty of days ahead of you, plenty of hours to figure it out, plenty of tomorrows to make the changes you've been avoiding. That's the trap. You think you have time, but time is the very thing that's slipping away while you hesitate, while you procrastinate, while you settle for less than what you're capable of. The clock doesn't stop because you're tired. The hours don't freeze because you don't feel like moving. The world doesn't wait for you to get ready. Every tick is life moving forward, and whether you use those moments wisely or waste them, they're gone forever once they pass. Think about how easy it is to lose a day without even realizing it. You wake up, you check your phone, you scroll, you get distracted, you spend your energy on things that don't matter, and before you know it, the sun has set. That day is gone, never to return. Multiply that by weeks, by months, by years, and suddenly you look back and wonder where all that time went. The danger isn't in one wasted afternoon. It's in the pattern of letting those afternoons pile up until they become your life story. People don't lose years at once. They lose them in small, unnoticed moments that they never take seriously. The reason it feels like time slips away faster than you realize is because life doesn't slow down just because you want it to. When you were a child, a year felt like forever. Now it feels like months fly by before you can even catch your breath. That's because responsibility, distractions, and routine have blurred your days together. But underneath all of that is the simple truth that time is always moving at the same pace. It's just your awareness of it that changes. The danger is when you stop paying attention. When you stop recognizing how precious every second is, you treat your days like they're disposable. And the reality is, they're not. There are people who waste decades waiting for the perfect time to start. They say they'll begin when they have more money, when they feel more motivated, when circumstances line up perfectly. But waiting for the perfect time is the same as wasting the time you already have. The perfect time never comes. The only time you ever really have is right now. And right now is disappearing while you debate whether you're ready or not. The longer you hold back, the further life moves without you. And one day you'll wake up realizing the things you wanted to do can't be done anymore because the opportunity passed with the time you ignored. Time slipping away is one of those truths we all understand but rarely act on. We know we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We know that life is fragile and unpredictable. But instead of living with urgency, most people live as if they'll be here forever. They move slowly toward goals they don't fully commit to. They settle for routines that don't inspire them. They let fear and doubt control their choices, all while the days quietly disappear. The hardest part about time isn't losing it. It's realizing too late how much you had and how little you did with it. If you ever want to measure how quickly time slips, just look back. Think about 5 years ago and how it feels like it was just yesterday. That's how fast the next 5 will go. Think about all the things you said you were going to do 5 years ago and still haven't. That's the weight of time wasted. Now imagine another 5 passing the same way, and another after that. That's how people lose decades. Not because they didn't want more, but because they thought they had more time than they actually did. Time slipping away faster than you realize should be the loudest wake-up call of your life. It should shake you to your core and force you to think differently about how you use your days, how you use your energy, how you use the opportunities that come your way. Because the truth is, you don't have as much as you think you do. Every second you let slide by unnoticed is a piece of your life you will never get back. Comfort is the enemy of greatness, and most people never realize it until they've spent years stuck in the same place, wondering why their life hasn't changed. Comfort feels safe, it feels easy, it feels familiar, and that's exactly why it holds you hostage. It convinces you that you're okay where you are, that you don't need to push harder, that you don't need to take risks, that you don't need to stretch yourself beyond what feels good. But greatness doesn't come from comfort. It comes from struggle, from discipline, from sacrifice, from stepping into the unknown when everything in you wants to retreat. Comfort is a slow poison. It doesn't destroy you in a single moment. It numbs you over time until you wake up one day and realize you've lost your hunger, your edge, your drive. Think about the times in your life when you truly grew, when you actually became stronger, wiser, sharper. None of those moments came from staying comfortable. They came from the late nights when you kept working even when you were exhausted, from the challenges that tested you, from the failures that humbled you, from the decisions that scared you, but you made anyway. Comfort never forces you to dig deeper. It never demands more from you. It never pulls out your best. It just lulls you into believing that average is enough, that settling is acceptable, that playing it safe will somehow lead to the life you dream of. The reality is, comfort is seductive. It whispers that you've earned a break, that you deserve to take it easy, that you can try tomorrow. And once you start listening, it becomes harder and harder to fight. That's why people spend years stuck in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, and routines that lead nowhere. They've chosen comfort over the courage it takes to make a change. They tell themselves it's not the right time, or they don't have the resources, or maybe they'll do it when things are more stable. But what they're really doing is hiding behind comfort, avoiding the discomfort that comes with growth. Greatness requires discomfort because it forces you to face yourself. When you step outside your comfort zone, you confront fear, doubt, uncertainty, and pressure. Those things are uncomfortable, but they're also the exact ingredients that shape strength and resilience. A diamond is formed under pressure, not in a cushioned environment. A muscle only grows when it's stretched and torn beyond its limits. The same principle applies to your life. You cannot unlock your full potential while you're wrapped in the blanket of comfort. Comfort also steals time. It makes you waste hours, days, and years thinking you're okay because nothing feels wrong. But in reality, nothing feels right either. Comfort doesn't bring fulfillment. It brings stagnation. And stagnation is dangerous because it feels like peace on the surface, but underneath it's slowly killing your dreams. You think you're resting, but you're really rusting. You think you're safe, but you're actually stuck. If you want greatness, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to wake up earlier than you want, to study longer than you feel like, to risk more than you're comfortable with, to fail more times than your pride allows. You have to be willing to sweat, to sacrifice, to stretch yourself until you discover what you're truly made of. The people who achieve greatness aren't the ones who always felt ready. They're the ones who moved forward even when they weren't. They embraced discomfort because they understood it was the bridge between who they were and who they could become. Comfort is the enemy of greatness because it tricks you into believing that you can have both at the same time. But you can't. You either choose comfort and settle for less, or you choose discomfort and chase what you're truly capable of. The path to greatness will never be easy, it will never be smooth, and it will never feel comfortable, but it will always be worth it. Excuses steal your opportunities, and most people don't realize how much they've lost until it's too late. Every time you tell yourself a story about why you can't, why you're not ready, why it's not the right time, you're handing away a chance that may never come back. Excuses feel harmless in the moment. They feel like protection, like justification for not stepping forward, but in reality, they are silent thieves. They rob you of progress, of growth, of momentum, of experiences that could have changed your entire life. Opportunities rarely knock twice, and every excuse you make is a door you close before you even see what's on the other side. The dangerous thing about excuses is how believable they sound. You tell yourself you don't have enough money, not enough education, not enough connections, not enough time. You convince yourself that people like you can't do things like that others are luckier, more talented, more privileged, so why even try? And in those moments, you feel justified. You feel like you're being logical, like you're protecting yourself from failure or embarrassment. But the truth is, those excuses are nothing more than fear dressed up as reason. They keep you in the same cycle, repeating the same patterns, living the same life, never realizing that the only thing standing between you and the opportunity you want is the story you keep telling yourself. Opportunities are fragile. They don't wait around for you to get ready. They don't sit still while you debate. They don't reschedule themselves to fit your hesitation. They pass quickly, and when they're gone, you can't rewind. You might get a different chance someday, but it won't be the same one. Excuses blur this reality. They trick you into thinking you'll always have more time, more chances, more doors opening, when in truth, the one you ignored may have been the one that changed everything. Excuses also destroy discipline. Every time you choose an excuse over effort, you weaken your ability to hold yourself accountable. You train your mind to accept less, to settle for mediocrity, to normalize quitting before you even start. The more you make excuses, the easier it becomes, until eventually you don't even realize you're doing it. You automatically choose the path of least resistance and then wonder why your life feels stuck. Discipline and excuses cannot exist together. One builds, the other breaks. One moves you forward, the other keeps you chained to the same spot. The tragedy is that people don't see what they're missing. You don't realize how much you could have achieved if you had just pushed through the excuse. You don't see the skills you could have developed, the relationships you could have built, the success you could have earned. Excuses blind you to possibility, and by the time you open your eyes, those possibilities are gone. The worst part isn't that you failed, but that you never gave yourself the chance to try. Failure at least teaches you something, but excuses teach you nothing except how to run from the very things that could have shaped you. There's always someone who had less than you, faced more than you, started with nothing, and still managed to succeed. The difference isn't that they were more gifted. The difference is that they refused to let excuses take control of their story. They saw the same obstacles, they felt the same fear, but they decided that the opportunity was worth more than the comfort of an excuse. That's the mindset that separates those who move forward from those who stay behind. Excuses might feel like protection in the moment, but over time, they become the bars of your own prison. They keep you locked away from the opportunities that were meant for you, the ones that could have changed your life if only you had been bold enough to step into them. Every time you choose an excuse, you're trading possibility for certainty, and the certainty is always that nothing changes. Most people are existing, not truly living, and that's one of the greatest tragedies of our time. They wake up every day, go through the same routine, follow the same patterns, and convince themselves that this cycle is what life is supposed to be. They mistake survival for living, busyness for purpose, comfort for fulfillment. But deep down, they know something is missing. They feel that quiet emptiness, that lack of excitement, that dull repetition, and yet they ignore it because they've been conditioned to believe that existing is enough. To truly live means to step beyond that cycle, to embrace risk, to pursue meaning, to chase passion, to demand more of yourself and your days. But most people settle for less because existing is easier. Existing requires no courage. It asks nothing more than that you show up, keep breathing, follow the motions, and avoid disruption. Living, on the other hand, requires presence, intention, and boldness. It requires you to step out of the predictable, to ask hard questions about what you really want, and to be willing to go after it even when it costs you comfort. That's why so many never take the leap. They're afraid of what it means to truly live. They'd rather stay in the safety of routine than venture into the uncertainty of growth. When you're merely existing, your days blur together. You can't remember what happened last week. You don't feel excitement about tomorrow, and you measure your life by how many tasks you've checked off rather than by the impact you've made or the joy you've felt. You live for the weekend, dread Mondays, count down to vacations, and before you know it, years have passed in a haze of repetition. That's existing. Living, on the other hand, makes you feel alive every single day, not because every moment is perfect, but because every moment is purposeful. The truth is, most people don't stop existing until something shakes them awake. A loss, a failure, a health scare, or some moment that forces them to see how fragile life really is. Only then do they realize how much time they've wasted doing things that didn't matter, chasing approval that didn't fulfill them, or sitting in situations that didn't serve them. They realize that they had been alive all those years, but they weren't truly living. And often that realization comes too late to get those years back. The difference between existing and living is not about wealth, status, or opportunity. It's about mindset. Someone with very little can be living fully if they're present, passionate, and intentional with their time, while someone with everything can still be empty if they're just drifting from one day to the next. Living is about choosing to engage with life rather than letting life pass by unnoticed. It's about daring to fail, daring to love, daring to grow, daring to step outside the lines. Existing asks nothing from you, living asks everything. Existing is safe because it avoids pain, but it also avoids joy. It avoids risk, but it also avoids reward. It avoids discomfort, but it also avoids growth. That's the trade most people accept without even realizing it. They choose safety over fulfillment, certainty over possibility, routine over purpose. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they feel restless, why they feel like something's missing. What's missing is life itself, because they've been too busy existing to actually live it. The danger of merely existing is that it feels normal. Society celebrates it. It tells you to get a stable job, to follow the rules, to settle down, to keep your head down and just get through each day. And if you're not careful, you'll believe that's all there is. But deep inside, you know the difference. You know when you're alive versus when you're just breathing. You know when your soul is on fire versus when it's asleep. And the choice between existing and living is one you make every single day. Regret is the price of wasted potential, and it is heavier than any failure you could ever face. Failure stings for a moment, but regret stays with you for a lifetime. It lingers in the quiet hours when you think about what could have been, what you could have done, who you could have become if only you had stepped up, if only you had tried, if only you had refused to let fear and excuses control your choices. Potential is a gift, but it's not permanent. It demands action, discipline, and courage. If you don't use it, it fades, and the only thing you're left with is the memory of opportunities you never took and dreams you never pursued. The weight of regret doesn't come all at once. It builds slowly. At first, you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, that you'll get serious next week, that life will be different next year. But tomorrow turns into weeks, weeks turn into years, and by the time you look back, the window has closed. You realize you had the ability, you had the time, you had the chance, but you didn't do anything with it. That's when regret sinks in. Not because you weren't capable, but because you allowed your potential to remain buried under procrastination, distraction, and comfort. The truth is, everyone has potential. Some people have extraordinary talent, others have relentless drive, others have creativity or vision, but potential means nothing if it's never realized. The world doesn't reward you for what you could have done, it only rewards you for what you actually do. Potential is only valuable when it's acted upon, when it's sharpened, when it's tested, when it's put to work. Wasting it is like having treasure buried under your feet but never digging it up. You live your life empty, handed while the gold was there all along. Regret is sharpest when you see others doing what you know you could have done. You watch people who started with less than you, who faced greater obstacles than you, who had fewer resources than you, and yet they made something of themselves. And deep down, you know you could have done the same, maybe even more, but you didn't. That realization cuts deep because it shows you that the limits were never outside of you, they were inside. It wasn't lack of opportunity, it was lack of action. It wasn't bad luck, it was fear, hesitation, and excuses. The pain of wasted potential is that you'll never know how far you could have gone. You'll never know how many lives you could have impacted, how much greatness you could have achieved, how deeply fulfilled you could have felt. Regret plays those questions in your mind like an echo you can't silence. What if you had been braver? What if you had been more disciplined? What if you had believed in yourself more? Those questions don't go away, they follow you, and they weigh on you more with each passing year. But regret isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. It shows up in the small sighs when you see someone else living their dream. It's in the way you avoid thinking about certain goals because you know you never chased them. It's in the empty spaces of your days when you feel restless, but don't know why. That restlessness is your potential calling you, reminding you that it's still there, waiting, but slipping further away the longer you ignore it. Regret is the most expensive price you'll ever pay, and it costs far more than failure. Failure gives you lessons, it gives you growth, it gives you strength. Regret gives you nothing but pain. Wasted potential doesn't just hurt you, it hurts the world, because someone out there needed what you had. Someone out there could have been inspired, helped, or changed by the gifts you never used. Potential is not meant to be hoarded, it's meant to be expressed, developed, and shared. When you waste it, the loss is bigger than you realize.